Welcome to another fantastic episode of Art and Stage Talk Radio Show. I'm Heidi Hardy. I'm your host.
And I'm Tracy Jordan, your other host.
That's right. That's right. And we have a fabulous guest in the studio, Doug Voet.
Yes.
Welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Please jump in at any time. We're going to have a fun show today, so we're going to talk all about you.
Hey, what are we listening to? Those people out there, what are they listening to? What the hell is this show?
Art.
Art and
We
Stage.
probably should say that, you
Art
know?
and Stage. See,
Ladies
the
and
guest,
gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of Art and Stage Talk Radio.
that was your job, Tracy. You didn't say, oh, cats.
Did I not say that? Oh, keep me on my toes. Keep me on my toes.
Well,
yes, Art
we
and
introduced the
Stage.
important people in the show.
Shoot.
What's the show? What?
Well, hopefully they recognize us by now.
Hopefully.
Hopefully they do.
Who was
Hopefully
that
they
masked
do.
man?
Hey, we've had a few shows.
We have. We've been doing this now for going on 4 months.
Yeah.
4 months we've been doing this, 3 or 4 months, and we're delighted that in the roster of shows here at Vocal, we are out of 34 shows. Our listenership is up around number 4.
Yeah.
So we appreciate all you listeners and viewers out there for that, and hope that it's not been necessarily because of our good looks that you've been tuning in, or our
Trust me,
voluptuous
that's not
voices.
Doug's like, nah, you're safe.
Nah, I've known you too long.
But because of the interesting content we've been bringing.
Oh, we've had fabulous guests. We were talking before the show. And so if you haven't had a chance to check us out every single week, you can go to thedancecouncil.org and find our shows on demand. You just click on the Art and Stage logo. We're also going to be uploading onto our YouTube channel automatically all the shows, so that'll make it a lot easier for people who are YouTube.
And if you miss us live every Tuesday from 6 to 7, you can see us through our links on demand through thedancecouncil.org. And speaking of thedancecouncil.org, this show is a presentation of the Dance Council of North Texas, and we're proud that they are a sponsor of the program. And we invite you all to investigate their website. Whether you're a dancer or someone interested in dance or just a devotee of dance, aficionado, if you will, Dance Council is the place for you. It is the only dance service organization in the United States. And their sole purpose and mission in life is to support and promote dance in all of its forms. And we have member organizations that are ballet, tap, even hip hop and ballroom. We have square dancing groups that are a part of our organization. So if there is a form of dance that you've been interested in and are looking to investigate further, if you're looking for a new studio in town, you can go to their website, thedancecouncil.org, and find a listing of all the studios here in town where you can avail yourself of classes. We also have a free publication online and in print that you can find throughout the city or through the website, which is the clearinghouse for information for all things having to do with dance in North Texas. We're just an information warehouse, and there's a lot of benefits. You can join a membership level on the individual, family, or corporate level, and there are a number of benefits that are part of that membership. And so we just invite you to go to the website and check it out, and we'd love to have you a part of the organization.
Well, we are a nonprofit organization, so we want to definitely encourage people to come, get to the website. One of the things that just happened Sunday was Dance
my
Planet
heavens.
21.
That's right.
Tell us about how wonderful that was. It
Dance
was a big event.
Dance Planet 21 is the largest free dance event in the United States. It's presented every year by Dance Council of North Texas, and this year, in partnership with Dallas Independent School District, we were at the Booker T. Washington School for the Visual and Performing Arts. We had several thousand people in attendance throughout the day. In fact, we had more attendance at the Dance Planet than they had at the Mega March, which was marching
that's
past us
right.
out on
Yeah.
Ross Avenue.
Yeah.
It was a really amazing day. There are free performances throughout the day that you can watch, and then there are master classes. I taught a tap class, and there were ballet classes, hip hop classes, jazz classes, and they finished the day off with a hip hop battle.
Oh, that's right.
We had a number of hip hop dancers competing, and it's kind of like the old dance marathons. They come up and tap you on the shoulder, and you step out, and they narrow it down to the last man standing. And it was a fun, exciting day with a lot of people there. And I was mentioning earlier, the highest compliment paid to me all day long was at the end of the day, after everything was said and done. We were loading everything back into the cars, and I looked up on the sidewalk. One of the kids that had been in my tap class was up there waiting for their mom to pick them up, doing one of the steps that I had taught in class, just dancing down the street.
That's a huge compliment. They absorbed all of that good teaching, and it was free. It was a free event, which
It's a
was
free event. That's
a huge community service. And the other thing that Dance Council does is partners with cities, and so the city of Plano every Wednesday night has a free dance series and lessons. I believe March 29th was the salsa, and I heard that went wonderfully. And then May 3rd is bachata.
God bless you.
What is bachata?
I don't know. It's a bachata.
Do you dance that or eat
Lessons.
it? I think I've
sounds
ordered that
tasty.
before.
And then May 31st is swing.
It really, to be serious, they
Yeah.
they have a wonderful time up there in Plano.
Oh my gosh, we had 'em on the show.
In
They're
this time of year when the weather is so pleasant, get up there some Wednesday evening and just have fun. Check it out.
Yeah, McCall Plaza. So we do several things in the community, and one of the things that we do is have this show. And what I was so excited about is not only is it dance focused, obviously it's presented by the Dance Council, but they wanted to expand it to all art and all stage, all things in the community. And Doug, that's one of the reasons why we're excited to have you here. Is you're with the city of Grand Prairie.
I am.
And you have a rich history in the performing arts. So I just had to get this question out. When did you know you wanted to be the superstar that you are?
Probably when I realized I couldn't catch a baseball.
Okay. About how old was that?
Probably about 10. I mean, I'm so glad that I wasn't raised in Texas. I was raised in Southern California because I think if I would have been raised here, my father would have just disowned me. But my mom was one of those crazy gals, and she's still crazy, the old bat. But she loved Reader's Digest. Remember you guys are too young.
Oh, no,
but in
no.
the old days, those Reader's Digest
yeah.
things that you'd buy that had all the long playing albums in them. And it was, swing and Broadway shows and all that stuff. And I'd terrorize the neighbors. Playing it too loud. And so, I was highly suspect in the neighborhood that he's going into show business because he's really not good at sports and he likes show tunes. So I was like, yeah. But I also, in a lot of, in all seriousness, all of the young theater geeks, we find a way to succeed at something. And it's very important. It's why in my thrust, even doing what I'm doing right now, it's all about the kiddos. Yeah. It really is, because they become the future of our industry, one that I've been in for about 40 years, I guess now. But yeah, I knew early on that there was something that I felt that I could be good at.
It's always amazing to me because we have amazing guests, but they sort of know it in their bones at a very young age. And then they have wonderful family and friends and communities that support.
I think that's the most important thing.
things.
You have to have. I had a Don Spots, who was my English teacher, that said, you're good, you can do this. Actually didn't say good, because I think in those days, especially in the 50s, we were to be humble. Mm-hmm. We had to be humble. So, but he was encouraging. And And I think in doing so, then your parents will go, well, if Mr. Spots thought that was okay, then we'll support. My parents never got in the way. My mother, unfortunately, never really understood Broadway musicals. I mean, even when I was doing one, she goes, well, it just doesn't make any sense. I said, Mom, you can't say this. This is how I make my living. She said, but where's the orchestra? I said, it's in the pit. No, in real life, you're breaking into song. Why would you do that? Like, how did I end up in this business? But yeah, I was very fortunate.
Well, you've had
I
a
did get
wonderful
support.
career. Oh, my
thanks.
goodness. Joseph and the Technicolor on Broadway. You graduated from Brigham Young University, which is in Utah, and a lot of family that is attended there. And did you graduate with an art degree? Or?
Yeah. I say this to kids because I've taught over the years, because instead of those who don't teach, I think it's those when you get ready to move into another part of your career, then how cool is it to be able to teach? And I've said to kids all along that, because it happened to me, my mom still wanted me to be an attorney. And I really didn't want to be an attorney. So I used to sneak out and audition for shows for the school, and also a dinner theater that was up in Salt Lake that I'd drive 40 minutes, and my grades were failing. But I moved from poli-sci to the arts. And I think it's so helpful for kids to not be forced into a situation that they may not be great at, but they may make a lot of money. And Lord knows, I've said to many, you're not going to get the station wagon and the picket fence and, 2.5 kids and a dog. If you want to stay in this industry, it's sometimes a challenge. You can do it, but it's more of a challenge. But I think it's so helpful to be able to hit the ground running with something that you really want to make a difference in.
You bet.
I think.
Well, how does one get from Salt Lake to New York?
Well, when I was when I was going to school, Frank Levy, rest his soul, was with CMA, and he created a master's program. Carl Malden came in, Henry Fonda came in, Richard Chamberlain, and dealt with all of us that were sure that we were going to be the next big thing. And there was a musical that was done called Dance on a Country Grave. It was based on Thomas Hardy, Return of the Native, written by Kelly Hamilton. And it was one of those other things where I just didn't tell my parents, and I went and auditioned. And I was Diggory Van the Riddleman. But it was a beautiful, beautiful piece. And when I finished with school, I had an invitation to come to Hollywood. And the first day I arrived, I was told to go to this rehearsal hall, and that Frank would be there because he was handling a show that was going up. And as it turned, and I walked in, and I was looking at the set design on the wall, because I was like, pay no attention to this little guy that doesn't know what he's doing. And I was looking at the set design, and it was Anthony Tudor. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And this guy came up over my shoulder, and he said, they look pretty good, don't you think, kid? And I turned around, and it was Henry Fonda.
Wow.
And they were rehearsing Time of Our Lives with Jay Seymour. And so I realized that I had stepped into some heavy-duty cotton fields at that time. And so there was a program, CMA is now ICM, and there were only 6 of us that were not stars, that were brought into a program to encourage. Clearly, that investment didn't turn out to be fabulous for that agency, but what it did, it left me with this great need to encourage. And so I didn't do everything. I became an equity member and all that kind of stuff, but I decided I needed to study more. So I went back. I went to England, studied at the Central School of Drama as well as the Dance Center in Covent Garden. And when I came back, I know this is really fast, but when I came back, because in Great Britain they had the pantomime season,
Right,
which is really very cool. And Joseph was one of those shows that was always done. I mean, the boys wrote it when they were 15, and it was really short, so it was perfect. And so when I came back, I saw an audition notice for Joseph and the Dreamcoat at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. I auditioned, and they didn't let me know that I was playing Joseph until the first day of rehearsal.
Really? Well, I have to say, you're being very humble because you went to Vegas and you represented, you worked with David Cassidy, and there's a list of actors and entertainers. So, yeah.
Well, and interestingly enough,
Wow.
when David Cassidy went into the show on Broadway, Doug taught him the show.
I did. And we remained friends. And David's been having some challenges, but I talked to him just the other day, and he's doing fine. But we remained friends. I produced a couple of shows for him. I took him out on the road when we were doing his own show, and a whole lot of other people, too.
Yeah.
But I really hate, it's like, it's just me. You know?
Well, we were talking about that. Was it last week or a couple weeks ago? That they're people, you know, and they work hard. They put their dues in, and so I mean it is exciting to hear how diverse your career's been.
Well, I think that it's kind of I've said I've probably done everything except drive a trash truck, which could be right around the corner. but Tracy and I used to talk about this years ago. It's like can you tap dance? Sure, Tracy. I need a time step right now. I mean, because we really we are gypsies by nature. We are gypsies, and we really want to be on stage, or we want to do something wrapped around the arts that'll make a difference. So yeah, we do all kinds of things. I've produced lots of stuff. I had Lou Rawls on the road, and Sheena, and I mean, just a lot of things. But at the end game is that we just go. Well, it was just another way to make a living, and they were kind of cool along the way. There were some really interesting folk.
Well, we're coming right back, but we have video that you brought or you provided us, and it's going to help us sort of understand what you're doing today.
Great.
Before we get there, one of the other questions I like to ask is, so there's a young Doug listening or watching, and they have the same aspirations. Any advice, anything that in your mind maybe made a difference and kept you going in your pursuit of your wonderful career?
I think that the most important, and it sounds so simple, but you really do have to believe in yourself. When I was a little kid, I honestly remember thinking, someday I'll be able to say something. I didn't even realize that it would be the singing part that actually I had a big career. I was a recording artist with RCA. But I wanted to say one thing that would make a difference. And what I've discovered in this industry, in all areas, that we can say and do so many things as long as we take ourselves out of the quotient, because an ego is a very dangerous thing, and if our end game has wraps around driving the pretty car or doing that, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. Singers and dancers and actors are doing it to communicate something to someone else. It's not about you. And I can't tell you how many singers that I've coached. It's like, it's not about you. It's not about you. You be honest and you will succeed on whatever level that you need. So little youngins that are thinking that maybe this is something you might want to do, if you're really passionate about it, and it's not because you're running away from something, but you really, really want to make a difference, then just hold that in your heart. And I think that will take you wherever you want to go.
I love it. Well, we're going to go ahead and take our first break and check out the video. And do you want to talk a little bit about the video?
Which one are we doing? Is this?
It's the presenting series.
Is Chris? Okay, cool. I do. It's kind of like spaghetti because my little theater, which we'll talk about, is pretty diverse in the patronage, and so I kind of look at the shows that we book like spaghetti, and when you throw it against the wall and you hope that something sticks, and I kind of do that with my season, like, oh hell, I hope something sticks. But Chris Lemmon is Jack's son, And he does a show, and it's going to be the last show of this season. And he does a show, and it's multimedia. He has a piano on stage because his daddy wrote a lot of music, and then he has home videos, and he sounds just like his dad. And I think it's going to be a really cool program. I had Karen Knotts a couple of years ago, Don's little girl.
Don Knotts.
Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to Chris Lyman.
Okay. Well, we'll be right back.
Personality traits that he embodied that made him so delightful came from Gigi. She called herself, short for gorgeous grandma. This was a woman who actually had it written in her will that when she died she wanted to be cremated, her ashes placed in an urn, said urn to be placed on the bar at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Cut. Oh my goodness, Jackie, look at you go. Well, isn't that Ducky? You're marvelous, dear boy. I'll tell you what, could you do me a favor and just give me a little bit less? Finally, my father couldn't take anymore. He turns to me and goes, George, if I give you any less, I won't be acting. To which Cukor said, exactly.
It was music that became the glue that bound us together again, against all odds.
And welcome back to Art and Stage Talk Radio. This is your host, Tracy Jordan.
And Heidi Hardy.
And we're here tonight with Doug Voigt, who was just sharing with everyone his words of wit and wisdom to young performers. You know, I always, when they ask me, what do you want to say to somebody who's interested in going into show business, I say, don't.
Run.
Run, Forrest, run.
But if you're one of those unfortunate folks that just absolutely nothing else makes you happy and gives you a feeling of fulfillment, then you must follow your destiny.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And you know, the funny thing, he was talking about his wide and varied career. I have actually seen the fan magazines. He alluded to a singing career, a recording artist. But in the days when little girls were taping up pictures of David Cassidy and Sean and Leif Garrett in their elementary school locker doors, Doug was up there with me.
I remember when I first started working with David, I said, now I have to show you something. He said, no way, because there was Leif and David and me, and I think Donnie was there too. I was like,
yeah.
Oh gosh, those are scary things.
How did you survive all those girls?
I tell you what, he survived that much better than most of those other guys he just mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm still kicking.
That's right.
I wasn't cool enough to do drugs, and I think
mean,
that's I mean, I really wasn't. I just was
My
not
God,
that
have
cool.
you seen Leif Garrett in
I
his older
have.
years?
Bless his little
Holy
heart.
moly, that poor guy.
I kind of have to agree.
Yeah, he was a pretty boy, but man,
Did you get the license plate of that truck, fella?
Oh, wow. Well, how exciting. I mean, you know.
So,
Lots of fun.
so interestingly enough, Doug and I knew each other in another life in Las Vegas, working together out there. And though his family is originally from California, beautiful sunny Cal, and my family is here in Dallas, we both ended up back here in Dallas. And you've got, as they say in the business, a really sweet gig, working out in Grand Prairie with at the Uptown Theater.
Yes.
And I want you to tell us about that, because it's really a unique, beautiful history, a theater with some interesting history.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks. Yeah. The Uptown Theater opened in 1950 as a movie house, and typical of so many downtown areas where people did the urban sprawl, then that little theater just stopped doing business. And so the city of Grand Prairie bought this. They came up with a bond. I think it was about $5 million, and they bought it. and they restored it. And I always like to say it's kind of, and we have a farmer's market that's down the street. So it's almost like two anchor stores in an outdoor mall. And so it's really helped our downtown area just flourish. There are a lot of cities that own their own theaters, but most cities don't operate their own theaters. And, so this is a Parks and Recreation building. I mean, I always like to say I'm Amy Poehler. I'm the Amy Poehler of theater management. What is really great about this property is under Parks and Recreations, and Rick Harold is my boss. But he's a total theater geek, and I love him for it because he really encourages me to not only bring in season shows that are varied, but we have a very diverse population in the city of Grand Prairie. And I honestly believe that theater builds community. Now, we have a community theater that operates out of that building, but it builds a community. We have, on the 12th of May, we have Javier Aguilar, it's a gala that's raising money for HACE, which feeds 600 people every holiday season that have no food. So I was raised in a little town called Pico Rivera. So Grand Prairie is very similar in its demo. And it's like, and I am an honorary Mexican, and so I get to be part of this. And so we get to do that. I really love the fact that we can do a price point on our rental that encourages young writers, playwrights, and composers to come and try their work out because, y'all, it's like you're sure that you have, it's Tony Gold, and then you need to have it on stage to make sure that you're right. We have Mama's Parties on Mondays, which encourage young and sometimes existing talent to just come and sing. Tracy's done a Mama's Party as well.
It's for those of you who don't know what Mama's Party is, it is one of the most fun open night. I can't say that. Open mic nights presented every Monday night.
Yeah, every Monday night
on Theater Dark Night by Amy Stevenson, and it's typically a potpourri of young and new and established artists that come in and sing. Sometimes you hear some really.
Sometimes it's great.
And
sometimes it's not so great. But it's always a fun evening. When I first started working at the building, because it used to be 1,000 seats, and then they split it in half. So it's 402 seats on one side with a pit that you could put 24 people in, 3 large dressing rooms for chorus, and then an onstage. And then there's a small little room that was originally just to be like rehearsals. And when I saw it, it was like, a club. I can create a club. And we have a liquor license too. So it's like, so the only thing that's different from when I started in the business is we don't smoke anymore. And so there's no haze. So every now and then I think it might be kind of fun to just like turn on the fog machine. But the first 3 Mondays of each month, Amy puts together a program, and then the last Monday has now just become a total open mic night, so people show up. But
and I think it's It's $5 at the door.
It's $5 for students and $10 for adults.
For adults.
But if you're a season subscriber, y'all, it's free, and so it's like huge value for money. But
I'm going to compliment you too. Last week we had young Christian Wyckoff from Grand Prairie Fine Arts Academy and his teacher Jenny Fagan in, and they were telling us not only about their participation in the Dallas Summer Musicals High School Musical Theater Awards, but their campus, the Grand Prairie Fine Arts Academy, and I was complimenting them. And the city of Grand Prairie, which for years just had the reputation as a little blue-collar town out there in the mid-cities. But you guys are doing some really progressive things out there, supporting the arts and bringing some really wonderful things to the community.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. We were chatting a little bit earlier. It is. I mean, we used to build helicopters and warplanes. I mean, industries. But I've never seen a city of this size, and we have 185,000 people now, so it's not tiny anymore. Right. But we have an elementary and junior high performing arts center that has an emphasis on film. Really, film. Then our Fine Arts Academy has a middle school and a high school that all of those kiddos it's all just about careers in the arts. We had Tim. What was Tim's last name? He was the music director for Glee and Lady Gaga. And I mean, we had the middle school kids at the property yesterday, and he just beat the heck out of them. And then they went into a recording studio and recorded. I mean, I would have loved to have had that opportunity. And then we have two regular high schools that have beautiful facilities. And then on top of that, we have, well, all of it is really, it's quite astounding at the end of the day that this, what was viewed as this tiny little town is really quite progressive. And I got to tell a little story of myself. On Facebook, it's like you always have that, where should you be? And I've lived all over the world. I really have. And very proud of the fact that from where I came from, that I have traveled and lived everywhere. So where should you be? Grand Prairie, Texas. I was thinking, like Paris, something really cool. But it's like, and my friend said, well, I guess you're where you belong. So I guess I really am.
It's a cool city. It really is.
It is.
And you and I had talked on the phone, and the Chamber of Commerce is
Yes.
wonderful, Lynn
Yes.
McGinley. So, yeah, I am a big fan, and I have friends who own businesses there and have been there for years. And so, when a community gets together and they decide to do something amazing in the arts, it's magic.
It really is. It's back to that community building thing. And I think we were mentioning, and real quick, we have this epic center that's opening. It's a water park, but also this massive rec center. But it's going to have a little theater in it. It'll have a sound studio in it because kids really they want to record stuff. They want to have it. And then on the outside we have Playground Adventures, which is an all-inclusive playground for kiddos or adults that are disabled, but they can all get out and play together. Which is like there aren't very many in the whole country like this, and so it's like wow, good for you, y'all, because when a city gives back to those tax dollars or tax pennies that mount into dollars, what makes you feel good about that? And because I am such a sap, and if it's wrapped itself around young people. And allowing them to embrace and discover what their bliss is, well, heck, you got me.
Yeah.
You're going to have to kill me. Have to take me out in the backyard and shoot me. It's like, okay, Doug, it's time for you to go.
Well, we did grab the video that talks about the season.
Oh, great.
And so why don't we play that, and then you can tell us what's going on at
Cool.
the Uptown Theater. Yeah. Welcome back. You're listening to Art and Stage Talk Radio. We have Doug Voet, and we just saw a quick video about the Uptown Theater's series.
season.
Yeah, the whole season there.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that.
I just when I was looking at it again and go, who is the fool that put that dang season together? Because it's so different. But again, I just tried to grab a little bit of everything. Bobby Borgia, we just had a couple weeks ago, and he was a magician, and he was like really close sleight of hand, and he creates stuff for Disney Channel and also the Magic Castle, and so and also all the Carnival cruise ships and stuff. So if you ever have an opportunity to see Bobby Borgia, he's delightful and really good. Robin Spielberg is coming up, and I've always been, every year I do something just for me. For the last couple of years, and hope that people like it. But the last couple of years, I had Larry Luckenbill come in and do his one-man shows.
And that was terrific.
Yeah, he's married to Lucy Arnaz, but an absolute star in his own right. And Tony, I think he's won a Tony. He's a Grammy Award winner. And so sometimes those things are not as well attended. I don't care; they're for me. And but just of just. I do care, quite frankly, but I think that it's important to have some substance. And Larry used to always say, "Words matter, and they matter so much," and we all know that they really do. It seems like a pat thing to say, but we forget. And that was really kind of cool. Robin Spielberg has she has over 79 million hits on Pandora.
Whoa.
79 million. She is she's a Steinway artist, and she looks at music as a healing force. And I know people go, ooh, he's getting to, there's crystals are going to come somewhere soon. But she really believes, and she's written a couple of books. She's done TED Talks. I mean, she's really an artist of consequence. And this Friday, Robin is coming in. Be a beautiful Steinway D on stage. It's like, and we'll remind again at the end. But we have some limited amount of tickets that I'd like to make available to people. We'll make sure that you get the telephone number at the end. You have to mention Art and Stage.
That's right.
Stage, and we would love to have you as a guest. We have a limited amount, but if what we've been talking about resonates, then.
Now, what kind of program does she bring?
She does a lot of her own material. She's
a composer also.
She's a composer and a lyricist and a writer. You know, you just want to beat her because she is a Renaissance woman. I mean, but you know, as I've talked to her and she wanted, and I think it'd be really, really helpful with what we've been talking about with young people, because she wanted to figure out a way to have her music impact somebody besides just doing Lincoln Center, just doing Lincoln Center. I mean, she's really quite extraordinary. But she wanted to approach the art form in a more encompassing way. And I think that we're in for a wonderful treat. I hope you both can come.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to bring the crystal out.
Oh Lord!
I'm
it's
very excited about that.
I think she's really. Is very important.
I believe that there's a lot of healing in the arts, and some people. The reason why I cry during certain performances.
Join the club.
The spiritual movement that comes with wonderful performances, and people like her who put their heart and soul into it. So it sounds amazing.
Yeah,
it sounds amazing.
I think you
good for you.
Really love that.
And it's got to make you feel good that. Out in Grand Prairie, I mean, it's not the music hall downtown and or the Bass in Fort Worth or the Eisman. This is really top-notch entertainment that you're bringing to the uptown in Grand Prairie.
And it's a great date.
You feel good.
A great date night.
It is a great date
You do
night.
have the bar.
Yeah, I do.
I know.
I do. People that know me, they're like, "Well, do you have a bar?" It's like, really?
Yeah, that's
Really, you know me better than this. Of course. No, I do think that it'll be an evening that we'll remember. Wonderful. I think this will be of great value.
And of course, we're going highbrow, so we also have to go lowbrow. So you've got Vegas Kitsch in your season as well.
But we have Julie as well. So so Julie Johnson is doing her Closer Walk with Patsy Cline. So we're here,
which is a great show. I mean,
she's
look at
fabulous.
At the variety of that.
She's and I heard the other day. Well, because everything costs money, and so I said, well, why? I said because. The Cline, the Patsy Cline family only allow her to do all the songs. And so there are like 22 songs. Wow. And she's the only one that's sanctioned by the estate to actually, although people do them, but Julie is the only one that's actually sanctioned to do all that stuff. And so that's going to be cool. And yes, we have our Vegas Kitsch. I'll tell you just wait, Trace. You're going to be loving every bit of this.
Well, I've seen those guys in Vegas.
You saw
and
them down
they're
at the
great.
plaza, aren't
Yes.
they great? And you know that Philip Fortenberry is the pianist, and he also is he's Liberace's hands. He used to play at the museum when it was still open, but then when they did the Beyond the it's Candelabra, right? Beyond the Candelabra, he did all the playing, and so he's the pianist, and I did Forbidden Broadway with him years ago, and you know it's just a delightful show, and once again Rick Harold, he was out there and he said, Doug, we have to have them. We have to have them. So I was like, okay, we will. Then the Persuasions, which they are we still ain't got no band. I mean, they're the real guys, and it's like, okay, do I have to take out insurance just to make sure that you're gonna get there? I mean, but they're amazing, and they have recorded with everybody, and so it's a cappella. You know, you feel like you're in a subway, you know, in the old days, and it's just wonderful. Olé is they are an international hit, and they've just started touring here in America. And they all play the guitar. They speak Spanish. They do speak English, but it's like a Latin Three Stooges, and they are delightful. I mean, oh my stars! They'll kill you. And then we talked about Twist of Lemon with Chris, and you know, and then we have films. We do films all year long too. And I'm telling you, our season subscribers they get the deal of the century.
How many different dates do you have in the theater throughout the year?
Right now, I have about 230 dates that are booked. So it's almost impossible to get in there. And that's a lot of it. A lot of it is wrapped around new works. You know,
Well, and to be fair, you were talking about these are acts that you're bringing in, but you also mentioned you do have the local community theater that performs.
Yeah,
there.
the Arts Council, they do 4 shows every year, and they do it. I hate to have to admit, because I haven't been on a stage for 20 years, but they called me and I had to do John in Calendar Girls this last year. So I was like, that's the good part, because you get to die within like the first 15 minutes, and then you negotiate that you don't have to do the curtain call, so you can go home. But anyway, they have a really nice season. I think they're doing Shook Up and a couple other things. A couple of Christmas shows. I love to do Christmas shows. So yeah, and so they eat up a certain amount of days, but then just a lot of new works, and I've become like the king of new works, and I love it. I love it because we've all created before, and we're sure that it's brilliant, and you just have to put it in front of a house, and then you can discover where you really are. And sometimes yes.
Well, do you find that your audiences are coming to you not just from Grand Prairie, but from around the Metroplex?
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. I used to say in the old days there was just the 250. There are 250 people that supported everything in Grand Prairie. That's it, 250. So I know that if I was doing anything, I'd have at least 250. And I can kind of cover my nut at 250. But no, we're getting more people in. I mean, we did the Column Awards
Full
this
disclosure,
year.
folks, that's a show business term, okay? We're not going off color here. That's a show business term.
What bad thing did I say?
You're covering your nut.
Okay. Oh, I didn't even think that. Oh, fine.
Well, I'm just down in the gutter. I'm just in the
fine.
gutter.
See, there's you. That was all I did.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
to
putting a little
explain,
pink and red in our face.
to explain
Thank
to
you, Tracy.
our-
I was confused.
I
Fine.
can just see them out there in Radioland scratching their head. What's he covering?
Okay, what is covering that now?
That is covering the expenses of the cost of
Yes.
putting on the show, ladies.
But we
and gentlemen.
we are finding that people are taking a look at what we're doing. Lauren over at WFAA, we oftentimes will have an opportunity to bring our acts in just so they can see the crazy things that we do. You know, let's go back to the spaghetti. I was like, okay, well, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But yeah, it's really kind of nice to not just be a theater that just grabs from, 15 miles around. And so we are getting people in. And I started to say that we did the Column Awards this year. And we had, it was packed to the gills, but it was nice to have people that represent other theaters coming into ours. I think that if we're not supportive of one another, then we're really in big trouble. And we're very fortunate in so many ways here in the DFW area to have so many entertainment opportunities, from the very, very massive, all the big DSM and ATT shows down to your little, 75 equity waiver houses.
Well, it's just I've played that small room over there, and it is a wonderful, intimate space, and something else we've talked about on the show before. Dallas is really not a vacation destination. If you say you're going on vacation to Dallas, and people say why, but it is a wonderful place to live because there's so much. Frankly, for all those years we lived in Vegas, I missed the theater scene here in Dallas because it's a very vibrant.
It is.
Theater scene. There's lots of professional actors in Dallas. Most of them just happen to have day jobs. Because you can't make a full-time living doing it here. But you have a lot of excellent actors and actresses that have made it a career.
Well, they made a choice to, because you can't put on your resume "have starved in New York." It doesn't really get you a job. But when you define what it is that you really want to do, and we have a bunch of players here in town that are really have done the New York thing or just selected not to, but it doesn't mean. It's great to have done a Broadway show and some off-Broadway stuff, but it doesn't mean that you're any better actor. It means you were lucky.
Yeah.
You just had that opportunity come your way. I think
It means you put up with living in New York.
I did, but not for too long.
This show goes by so fast, and one of the things that we talked about earlier was Robin, and
Yes.
you had encouraged us to get her clip on, so we're going to do that before we get to the end a part of the show. But let's take a look at her promo, and
Okay.
we'll be right back.
And welcome back
Wow.
to Art and Stage Talk
That was
Radio.
pretty amazing.
That was a fascinating piece.
Wow.
I think she had crystals too. Did you see that? I think
I saw
I
that.
think she did.
I did. I'll tell you all about those.
Okay.
I particularly thought it interesting. She's been reviewed by Better Homes and Gardens.
I know.
That's interesting. You can get your fertilizer and your
And-
arts entertainment review.
But at least the Washington Post was in there too.
Oh yeah, I just she's got some great folks have reviewed her. I just never have seen a Better Homes and Gardens entertainment review. But and hey, she's a cutie.
She is, and her husband is Larry Cosson, and he's an agent. And for years he's gone, Doug, have you looked at my wife? And I said, well, not recently, but and then I got all this stuff, and I was going, oh my stars, we need to do this because it's really quite. It's uplifting, I think.
Yeah.
And she tells
beautiful.
she doesn't just sit and play. She talks about her journey and what she believes is the value of music, and that's why we're all here anyway. The art of the arts. It's why we're here. I mean, it was Churchill who said during the war when they tried to cut art funding, he said, "Then what are we fighting for?" I mean, because it's not everything unless you're in the arts, and then it's everything.
Well, one of the things I bring to the show is that I'm the consumer. I'm my career isn't in the arts, but
You're a career consumer.
I'm a career consumer. I love the arts, but it's definitely I've been blessed to have a diverse friend base and colleague base, and I can tell that there are some who have not been exposed or presented with the opportunities. Tracy was saying earlier, this is an entertainment city, DFW area, and that couldn't be more true. There's so many ball games and there's a lot to do here. But those that haven't had the opportunity more than once or to really walk into something like this performance and be moved and then change their whole view and become a fan and a supporter. We want to do that. We want to give people those opportunities to shift and find that moves them. And so it's interesting because I know some of my friends and colleagues haven't. They haven't hit a Dallas Summer Musical or the Bass Hall or the Uptown Theater. I mean, they've really just been just haven't had that opportunity. So hopefully we'll get them there.
That would be
The
wonderful.
great thing about this town, and the great thing about one of the great things about what you're presenting out there is something that I like is going into a performance that I may not know a lot about.
Right.
Whenever I go to New York, there's some shows that I know I want to see, but I also like to go down to the tickets booth and just, what's up? And, that sounds interesting. I'll buy a ticket for that. And you find some amazing things that you discover you really love. And I'd commend to everybody, hey, buy season subscription for Uptown because
Absolutely.
you've got such a wonderful broad spectrum of entertainment. And some of it is just, kind of very commercial, and some of it is just makes you sit back and scratch your chin and go,
Yeah, I love the idea that Heidi mentioned is that, we should be, well, shouldas, couldas, that doesn't really count, but it's always wonderful if your life can be changed by a book, by a wonderful piece of music, by a great baseball game. I mean, but I agree. I mean, because we're absolutely sure that everything of value is mutually exclusive to the arts. But it is a difference when you meet people that really haven't had that opportunity, but they're capable of being changed. It's just that they hadn't,
Sure.
I mean, shoot, we never went. I never went to a professional theater event growing up. No. I never did because it wasn't something that was on our plate. And we were also, we were just working class kids and, we didn't know that we were poor or anything. We just didn't have excessive money to go to the Pantages downtown and see a show. So.
Well, and that's something that I have to say I've also enjoyed about many of our guests is I think, the idea that the arts is for a certain class or certain socioeconomic demographic is going away, and it should, because there are. I know I can go to the Bass Hall with pants, jeans and a blouse on, or there are venues all over the place that just want you to come in flip flops and shorts and sit on the lawn. So I that's the other part to that. It's for everybody.
It really is, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think we forget, the opera. And now, if we're seeing the opera in Great Britain, they translate everything, so you don't have to go get the little paperback book that I used to read. It's like, oh, what the heck are they saying? But you don't need to study up to go see a ballet.
Yeah.
I mean, you're either going to be moved or not. It's either going to ring your bells or not. And, I always am trying, because ballet sometimes is just, it's farther down the list on what people feel that comfortable going to, because of exactly what Heidi was saying, is that it's not part of my socioeconomic background. It's like, yeah, it is. It's part of everything.
Absolutely.
And, but you may not like it, but at least give it a shot, and then maybe you're like, go to Nutcracker. That's always the easiest one and most accessible at the holiday times.
We
And I
saw
guarantee
American
you'll
in
like that.
Paris, and I mentioned that, but it's not the only ballet I've ever been to, but it's the most recent. And my husband just got the biggest kick out of it. It was, a lot of times you have to, you sort of prep your husband. It's going to be a lot of singing and a lot of dancing, and he's not that way at all. But he always enjoys it.
And if he was like my mom, would go, but where's the orchestra? It's like,
Why do they break out in song so much? No.
Yeah, okay, we're talking about demographics, but there's another question I wanted to ask you, because I was looking on your Uptown Facebook page, and you've been posting some things over the last few days about some young musicians that are there in the theater playing. Tell us about that.
well, they're part of all three of the schools, but especially Grand Prairie Fine Arts Academy. They have two award-winning mariachi groups. So that's Sol Azteca and Azul, and then Fine Arts Academy has a stunning string orchestra. And last year we had Dallas String Quartet. If you guys haven't had them on, they're absolutely stunning people. And they did a master class for the kids that are part of the string discipline. And then they have a jazz band. And it's like, really, I am so grateful that I didn't have to compete with any of you trying to get a job when I was a kid, because they're just so marvelous. So yeah, we've got all kinds of stuff.
Well, Doug, I'm delighted that you've come in to grace us with your presence tonight and share some of the wonderful and fascinating and exciting things that are going on out there. Thanks. And I'm sure we'll all want to come out and partake. And I was sitting here thinking, I'm gonna get those season subscriptions and take my folks out there to all those, because all those are things that they would like. But I want you to plug again for us. Not only Robin and her information, but just the contact information for the theater, your social media platforms, and how everybody can find you.
Yay! Okay. Now, because I never call myself, I'm sorry, I have to. I really don't. The telephone number is 972-237-8786. And you can find us at www.uptowntheatergp.com. Pretty easy. www.uptowntheatergp.com. And really, we would really love it. I don't have like jillions, but if you're interested in seeing Robin, please call that number and mention Art and Stage.
And they can find you on Facebook as well.
And they can find us on Facebook as well.
Just look up Uptown Theater Grand
Uptown Theater. Uptown Theater. That didn't come out. I almost made it, didn't I? It was like, oh Lord, I won too many cocktails. I got you.
Now, Robin is this Friday.
Robin is this Friday, and then we have other dates. We also have on the 19th. I think it's the 19th, which is a Wednesday. I know it's church night, but we have Hoot. We do films all throughout the year as well, and Hoot is really kind of a fun film. So and it'll be on our calendar on our webpage. But we have fun. It's a really nice HD projector that I got to buy as long as I did films. And it's like, yes, Doug, you can, but you have to do films. It's like, okay, cool. We can make popcorn and just have fun. So.
And remember, folks, you can drink adult beverages.
That's right.
When you're going out
That's
there to
right.
see the show.
You can.
And is the space available to rent as well?
Yes,
if
it
somebody's
is.
looking to have an event there?
Yeah, it is. Tonight we actually have the Kingdom Hall. The Jehovah's Witness folk that are part of our community once a year. And it's the first thing I put on the calendar is their event. But yes, we will rent the property for events. We really try to keep it for theatrical events, but if we have availability, then we will. There have been a few people that have gotten married there. It doesn't have a center aisle, and I always know that if somebody wants to get married at a theater, then they have to be a little left of center. But I think it's kind of cool.
Well, your lobby space is great for
Yeah,
events
it's a beautiful
art
venue.
art installations and things like that.
It is. We're running out of time. Thank you so much for being
Well,
here.
thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, when I got off the phone talking to you, I'm like, this is going to be a great show. It's going to be so much fun. We really appreciate all the information you shared. We appreciate the city of Grand Prairie and all they're doing for the community.
And you've got a standing invitation to come back.
Absolutely,
Thanks,
absolutely.
thanks. Your listeners will go, no, I don't want to. It's enough. It's enough.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you, and you're always welcome back.
Thank you.
I guess this is the end of the episode. We're going to have a new one next Tuesday.
Yes, we'll look forward to seeing you back here, same bat time, same bat channel
our
next
guest
week.
next Tuesday is the Dancing Classrooms, and so we'll leave it there. And thanks again for listening.
And find us at thedancecouncil.org. Share the
Absolutely.
link. You'll find us there.
All right, thanks. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.